Hey everyone, I have Nick Gills on the podcast today. We're here to chat home gym, but Nick, thank you so much for hopping on. It's really cool. We've been chatting on and off for years, never really sat down and had a conversation though. So this will be cool. But to start off, would you mind just giving us a little bit of background on yourself?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. First off, thanks for having me. I did that round table, I don't know, it seems like about a year ago, 8 months ago. That was super fun. I guess we had maybe like 6 or 8 of us on here at once. And that was a good time. So I'm glad to be back here just on a little one-on-one action. So about me, my name's Nick Gills. I run the Instagram page, Home Gym Hangout. I started that page probably in spring of 2021, but my home gym journey starts way before then. That was just when I decided to start, sharing that journey with everybody else. But as far as my history, I went to Clemson University in South Carolina, majored in mechanical engineering. After that, I was an officer on a submarine out in Hawaii for about 6 years. So a lot of my planning in the gym kind of stems on living on a submarine and trying to make use of the most amount of space. So that kind of goes great with home gyms since, most people have either a 1 or 2 car garage and try to make, the maximum use out of your floor space. So after leaving the Navy, I'm no longer in the Navy. I moved back to South Carolina and I built a house in 2017. It's got a 3-car garage, but two of the car bays are allocated for the home gym. And originally started as just 1 bay. So it just grows and grows and grows.
Awesome. Yep. That sounds familiar. All right. So take me back to then maybe 2017. Yeah. When, why, and how did you start your home gym?
Yeah. So when I built the house, it's in an HOA community. So, I say built it, you have
right.
15 floor plans to choose from, but they're all kind of the same and whatnot. But I knew when I did that I wanted to have a home gym. And that's something I had thought about while being on the submarine, because whether you can imagine or not, there's not much space to work out on a submarine. And, I really just enjoy training in general. And so I really missed that. And also where I'm at in South Carolina, it's kind of not in the country, but it's 30 minutes to a decent gym. So,
gotcha.
Working and then commuting, it's I don't really want to do all that. And if you watch my Instagram page, I'm with dogs all the time. So I like to work out with my dogs as well and not have them be alone. So I knew that I wanted to have a home gym before I built the house. And a part of that was I had the option to do a 3-car garage. So that way I can have 1 bay, which you guys usually never see on Instagram, but I have a whole bay that you can park a car in and have all the garage stuff, tools, storage, yard tools, that kind of thing.
Nice.
And then the other side, which is the 2-car garage. But that started out just with a pretty simple setup in 2017. Probably bought that setup in September of 2017. And that was pretty much what started out as just an RM3 100-inch rack from Rogue. I wanted the blue scheme. Before I even bought anything, I epoxied the garage floor. I painted the walls. And during the build, I ran speaker wires before they did drywall, so I could have integrated ceiling mounted speakers. So it's just some planning involved with whatnot, but I had effectively a blank slate to work with while doing a build. So I could integrate some of that in before, I committed to the garage gym. But yeah, I started out with the RM3. What else? Adjustable bench 2.0. That I still have that bench. The tank, it's 150 pounds. Barbells, bumper plates, steel plates that you see, or iron plates you see on the rack. And no dumbbells or anything like that. I bought a set of kettlebells because they were way cheaper than dumbbells, and bought them in pairs. So you can kind of utilize them for curls and whatnot. Yeah. Not good as dumbbells, but it kind of let you do the kettlebell thing plus dumbbells and also save dollars. So that was my first setup that I had probably for about a year. And that was just half of this. So right. Basically where you see over here with some storage, and the storage has changed to different storage, but for the most part, an RM3, a barbell, adjustable bench, and for the most part, that's really all most people need. The only thing you're really missing out of that is some type of pulling mechanism, for lat pull downs or rows. But other than that, it's a tried and true setup.
Yeah, once you have the basics, pretty much have it all covered. I'd be curious to just hear, you mentioned you had everything you really need, but you still decided to build out.
Yeah.
If you could explain just how you ended up evolving your home gym and maybe just explaining why, was it because you got a little bored with just that basic setup, or was it just because it became your hobby, or whatever the reason may be? That would be cool to hear too.
Yeah. So for the first, like, I didn't know, I never home gymmed before, right? So when I had gone to a gym, it was a commercial gym. And so, with buying that first delivery from Rogue, I was assuming that I was going to want to continue to home gym, but I didn't know, right? Because, it's a different environment. You're training by yourself for the most part. Some people really need that public venue to push themselves, I think, when they think that maybe eyes are on them, or they get inspired by seeing bigger dudes in the gym that are, more ripped, or whatever the case may be. So I wasn't really sure. I thought I was sure, but I didn't know. So I didn't want to drop a ton of money and then be like, man, I got all this stuff and it weighs a lot, and now I got to sell it if I didn't like it. So, and at the time, that was really all I could afford to buy, to be honest with you. And I used that setup for about a year. And I finally decided that, the home gym was a forever kind of journey for me. And, I wasn't going to go back to a commercial gym just out of some of the a lot of the conveniences, right? That's the whole point of the home gym, is just pure convenience, right? And it's definitely a luxury item to have. And not if you have like a fully outfitted like Rogue gym, even if it's just, a basic setup, it's a huge luxury to have. And I really started to value that, whether it was like, man, I can cook chicken on the grill and meal prep at the same time that I work out, and then go out there once an hour and flip the chicken, so it's just like a time saver. And as I got older, I just really started to value saving time. And yes, you can save time and not buy, top of the line stuff like I have, but just that whole idea in general was really valuable to me. And so once I was pretty much fully committed, I just had an end vision of what I wanted my gym to look like. And, it by no means started anywhere at, where it's at today. It's like a 5-year thing in the making. And by having that vision, I just slowly chipped away at it every year.
Yeah.
And so I would just like, hey, what am I missing? What do I really want next? And I would save up for that one thing, and then, drop a decent chunk of change one time a year, pay shipping once. So that way I'm not, buying stuff every couple of months and paying all the time. That's kind of like, I don't know, I would say like my hack, if you will, but that's the one way I saved a lot of money. And back when Rogue really used to do the 5-for-5 shipping, that's the only time I would order gear, would be November. And that's how I bought dumbbells. I bought a whole stack of, 5 to 100s in dumbbells shipped for $5.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way that I would do it. I would just, have an end goal of like, hey, what are all the pieces I want? And just make a game plan. Like, this is what I'm going to buy in 2020 or 2021, 2022, whatever the case may be.
Awesome. You have a beautiful gym, and you've primarily outfitted it with Rogue stuff, if not all Rogue stuff.
Yeah.
Have you ever cheapened out, or have you always just kind of bought once and cried once, like you just mentioned?
Yeah, that's kind of been my mentality in life. And for the most part is like, I would rather not have something for some period of time and save up for the thing that I really want. So like if it was, man, I got to go to a commercial gym for 6 more months to order to save up for a Rogue rack versus buying a Titan rack, I would just go to the commercial gym for 6 more months. You know what I mean? That's just kind of the case for me. The other side of that is my dad works in the U.S. steel industry. And so his steel mill directly supplies Rogue with steel. So, and I'm originally from Ohio. So like, there's kind of some of that, like, I don't know, loyalty with that. I feel like also I'm kind of supporting my family in some degree with, buying American made steel. I'd also considered at the very beginning going with Sorinex, because Sorinex is 20 minutes from my house and I could do local pickups and stuff like that. And, in 2017, I wasn't like fully in the home gym scene or knew anything about that. So when I was like browsing, Sorinex's website, there's not prices on anything, so, and then I'm seeing that, all their gyms are outfitted with like MLB teams, NFL teams, college teams, and, some crazy amount of customization. And, like I said, I wasn't fully sure that I was going to commit to the home gym in 2017. So I was like, between this level of customization, I still don't have like a home gym hangout logo, right? Right. So like, I definitely didn't back then. I didn't even have the page then. And not having prices on the website, which is like, that's probably a little more than what I do right now. And I'll just go with a blue rack, from Rogue. But yeah, I would say probably, like 99% is Rogue dollar wise. I got like a battle rope. It's a Titan battle rope. I've got a Sorinex like glute ham roller. What else do I got? I got the leg extension leg curl machine. That's not the Rogue machine. But yeah, that's pretty much why I went with Rogue. And also like their customer service for me, I'm not like sponsored by Rogue or anything like that, but their customer service and whatnot is kind of like the pinnacle of customer service, I think, outside of just even the fitness industry. Pretty much even you see a lot of times on like home gym, like Facebook pages and stuff like that, people or customers make their own errors and Rogue still comes through and like, makes a situation right. Or even like UPS makes a ton of errors with like damaging equipment, right? And it's like outside of the hands of Rogue and they'll send you new stuff. So kind of knowing that I was always covered and also that I had never really like been let down on a product where, there's a lot of things that nobody in my neighborhood has a home gym. And so I don't like, when I bought a reverse hyper, I've never used a reverse hyper and there was nowhere in town for me to buy a reverse hyper or like you go try one out. So, that's like a big piece of equipment. It's a one trick pony. It's not cheap, takes up a lot of floor space. And I was like, well, I'm sure that, they make a tank of a reverse hyper. And, also with the Rogue branding, if I didn't like it, I could probably flip it for damn near what I paid for it. So there's also that avenue with it too. If I don't like it, I can usually, flip it if I need to, which I haven't really, but you can definitely do that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. When you're buying from Rogue, it's a very safe bet. They're not gonna put out something that you're not gonna use. Yeah.
And the other thing that's like convenient with Rogue and, Sorinex has its own, I'm not like talking crap about Sorinex. They make a great product. They make all kinds of the cool customizations and whatnot. But one of the other conveniences with Rogue is you can just add to cart and buy now. Whereas, a lot of the Sorinex stuff, you have to like go through a representative. They make you a custom quote. And then you get back into the queue of like, they don't really have much inventory. That's kind of like their business model is. They don't really have much stuff in a warehouse. And it's just made to order. As soon as they make it, they box it up and ship it. So they don't have any money tied up in a warehouse. So
I have heard that. And also just like, their priority is making these insanely beautiful facilities. And, they're primarily known for like, if they're doing a home gym, you're probably a professional athlete or a celebrity, right, and you're willing to drop like $50K right away.
Right.
So
dealing with they're only want to drop less than $5,000. It's like, I don't want to say, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but like, it seems like it's not worth their time.
Exactly. That's the feedback I've received from just like people, and it makes sense. I mean, they're installing facilities. It's just they're not in the weeds of the home gym. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Where I think that's the opposite of Rogue's take. They're kind of doing the volume where they want to reach out to more individual customers, and maybe they're not doing $50,000 home gyms, but they're doing way more home gyms that just have a squat rack kind of thing. And I guess that makes up the sales, but none of them are publicly traded companies. So we don't really actually know their financials or anything like that, but we can just make guesses,
Right. I would guess that Rogue's a little bigger, but who really knows?
Right.
Cool. Well, so you had the opportunity to work with Rogue on a project. Your name's listed on the functional trainers product page, and it would be really cool just to hear how that came about and what that entailed.
Sure. So before I even reached out to Rogue about that, I had just been wanting a functional trainer, right? I want just give people some background. I had the rack, I had the Rhino, I had the LP2 lat pull down. So the only thing I really didn't have, and it's not really even necessary, is dual cable columns for flies and stuff like that. You could pretty much almost say that that's really all that got me was adding cable flies, because I can do tricep push downs on the lat pull down. I can do cable curls on the low row of the lat pull down. But with that, I had some, like everybody, some, size constraints, I had the height, I had the ceiling height, but just how much footprint I have left. And I like to leave some space open. You'll see some garage gyms that just have machines everywhere, and there's just enough space to walk around and get into each machine, but you can't do anything with a barbell outside of a rack. And so, when I do barbell work, overhead work, I like to do it in the driveway just because I enjoy being outside after being on for a good portion of my life. But in the winter months, the door's down and I like to do stuff on the floor on the inside. So I wanted to keep that floor space open. And I'd always been eyeing the CT1s, the cable columns from Rogue. And they're just like the LP2, they're massive, right? You need at least, they're at 108 inches. So that's 9 feet. So you need slightly above a 9-foot ceiling to put it in without, having to take the pulley system off the top and then, getting it upright and then attaching that back on. And I'm at like probably 11-foot ceiling in here.
Yeah.
But where I was going to put a cable column was going to be underneath the garage door track, where the garage door would slide up. That's initially where I thought, hey, that's the only spot I can make this thing fit is over underneath this garage door track. And, that's only like 7 feet tall. So I reached out to Rogue, and I've got some contacts there just through like the home gym page. People have talked to me and that kind of thing. And so, hey, like, can you guys make like a CT1 short version? I think that would be great. Basically the same exact unit, but 2 feet shorter, so it fits an 8-foot ceiling. Maybe you sell more of them. You could probably still fit the same weight stack on it because that thing is hard to get to the very top as it is, to top out the weight stack. And there wasn't much movement on that. So I was like, okay, like what else? So I went to Sorinex, and Sorinex will basically, make any height of anything. You pay extra dollars and that kind of thing, and price that out. And even with local pickup, it was quite expensive. And basically 2 cable columns with the iron bear rack in the middle.
Yeah.
And that was like, just so I could put my dumbbells in there. That was the part of this whole thing is I had to take my dumbbell rack. I had to utilize the dumbbell rack for the cable column machine. Because really, if you have the dumbbell rack, you're just coming off the front of it a little bit, 4 inches wide on each side. Now you have depth. But if you're maximizing the space in between the cable columns, it's not that much extra space to just add cable columns to like a monster mass storage, if you will, right? You already have the width.
Mm-hmm.
So once I got a pricing point from Sorinex, I just started like, how can I like make something like this? Like, would it be cheaper for me to get it from Rogue, even delivered? But they don't have an official product that does that. So I was like, well, how can I make this work? And it just dawned on me, with the monster cave, so the cave system, you got a rack in the middle, and you either have like slinger pulleys on both sides or LP2 and CT1 or 2 CT1s. And I was like, man, I kind of just need like a cave, but without the rack in the middle and have dumbbell racks. So I reached out to them and I said, hey, are you guys willing to sell cable columns that are not standalone units, like rack attached cable columns? And they do. And they're just not on the website. And that's been feedback a lot with Rogue is like, there's a lot of things you guys can do to just change your website and just so people can just add to cart and know that it exists. But for instance, a CT1 that's rack attached is $800 cheaper than a standalone unit. So by buying 2 rack attached, I saved $1,600, and I putting the pieces together. Like, well, I need to put dumbbell storage in the middle, and I could use like the monster mass storage. But the problem with the monster mass storage system that's 100 inches tall is it has the feet that come out the bottom, and for like so it doesn't top over because it's 100 inches tall, and the CT1s won't clear that. So I was just like, well, like let me just get some uprights. That's basically what monster mass storage is. I'll just add some uprights. And then I reached out to the person I know at Rogue and was like, hey, like any reason like why this wouldn't work, as like a real thing. And had it shipped, and even shipped and everything, it was still like $1,000 cheaper than Sorinex. Now it's in black, it's not blue like my rack, and Sorinex would do blue, that kind of thing. But $1,000 is $1,000, and the turnaround was pretty quick. I think I got it in 2022 within 28 days of ordering, which was pretty crazy, for those times and a big piece of equipment like that. But once that became a thing, I think like Rogue had the aha moment of like, man, like this is something that we don't have on the market, and it's really nothing that we don't already make. We just have to assemble it together, market it, and put it on the website so people can add it to the cart. And there's some discussion of like, do you want to use like the giant dumbbell storage like I have? They ultimately went with a V configuration. So that way in the back of it, mine is 70 inches wide across the back. And the one that Rogue offers on the website is 43 inches. So you can kind of like wedge it in a corner. And it also is not quite as deep as the one that I have. But, if you want the one that I have, you can message them and they'll add all those items to the cart. one of the other things that they ended up making was like the top cross member. It's like a 14-inch cross member because like the Monster Mass storage, that top cross member between the two uprights is welded in. And so they ended up making the top and bottom ones for this setup as well. So yeah, but it was super wild. On vacation in Hawaii. And I knew they were going to make it. Like, they told me like, hey, we're going to make this thing. You know, we're going to make. I've been calling it the FT-1 like since, because it kind of goes with like the LP2 and the CT1. Right. And then yeah, we're going to make it, and we're going to make it, that kind of thing. And you know, once like product development, you know, gives the head nod that like this is a good product. You know, it takes the marketing team, I guess, however long to make the website and promotion stuff and that kind of thing. But I was actually on vacation in Hawaii, and like a bunch of people were in my DMs like, bro, like, what is talking about? I was like, oh, damn, it's live. And my name's in the product description. So like, I wasn't expecting that by any means. So that was super cool. And that's like one thing that I think they're usually pretty good with is recognizing, you know, the originators of equipment. You know, I don't know, Brandon's on some equipment that he has made. And they pretty much like shout out to whoever gave the idea, that kind of thing. So, or compensate them, or whatever the case may be. So
gotcha. Well, that's really cool. I remember as you were like building it out, you were documenting it on Instagram. Yeah. I'd be curious to hear, like, were you documenting it and then like they probably saw the feedback on Instagram, or like, we should look even further into this? Is that kind of how it played out?
That's pretty much how it went down. You know, I messaged the people that I knew at Rogue and was like, is there anything that I'm missing of like why I can't assemble these pieces together and like make it work as a functional trainer? And yeah, it's like a stupid expensive, you know, what's on the website, like $6,500, something like that. So
it's still not cheap. Yeah.
It's not cheap, but you know, when you talk like, you know, 2 CT1s to begin with, standalone, not that I'm saying they're cheap, but they're $2,900 a piece as is. So that's three, you know, that's $6,000 just for the CT1s, and then you get some storage in between. So it's not like too far that way, but that was pretty much it. Was like, yeah, this guy thinks he can do it. He did it, and then people are like, man, that's like, if you know, not to like if money's not an option, but like that's the functional trainer that you're going to get if you know you don't care how much you spend on a functional trainer. Because I mean, obviously you can get a rep. Not that I'm saying it's the same thing or anything like that, but you know, you can spend significantly less money, you know, buy like an FT-5000 or something like that.
Right. You can, where you could get some sort of rack attachment for a lot of home. Do you see this as more of like a commercial gym option?
For the most part, yeah.
For the most part, yeah.
You know, mostly because of the price point, you know, just, it's not cheap. It's a pain in the ass to get it delivered. I mean, you've probably seen the videos of like me putting wheels to get it off of trucks, forklifts, like, so, you know, there's definitely some planning and I don't know, I guess risk involved as well with delivery. But as far as like footprint, like it does, I keep looking at it, but it doesn't take up that much more space than a, you know, 100-inch, you know, Monster Mass storage type rack system or dumbbell storage system. And then, you know, I've got dumbbells on it, but you could probably go, I've got 3 dumbbell shelves, but you could probably go 5 shelves tall. And you with kettlebell shelves or bumper plates or whatever the case may be. Just obviously the further you go up, the harder it is to get stuff down. But
yeah, right.
But for the most part, yeah, I don't see many other people buying it. I know of a couple people that are my followers on Instagram. I say my followers, people that follow me or whatever. They have bought the same system. I know of one other one in existence that instead of a full height upright in the back, the guy uses like a Rhino upright from a Rhino. Hey, dogs are trying to play. But yeah, he's got the same system, and it's, you know, it's the square system, not the V-shaped system. I don't know of anybody that's bought the actual, like, you know, I haven't seen it at least. Like, people have told me they bought it using my link or whatever and whatnot, but like I haven't seen one delivered yet or anything like that. Not that everybody follows up with me or anything.
Awesome. So, that's a super cool story.
Yeah, it's wild too. Like, I'd buy that thing. I'd make it whatever, even if I didn't have the Instagram page. You know, it's just I like home gymming, and I like, you know, the engineer in me likes building stuff, and so it's just also cool to like get recognized for it, and also see people think that it's cool as well.
No, it's like awesome story. Really cool to get the background there. I've seen you run with your dog. What kind of dog is that?
I've actually got 3 dogs in here.
3 dogs, now. Yes.
I'm babysitting. Here, Howard, come here. So this is the come here. This is the one I'm babysitting. His name's Howard. He, I fostered him He's a Mastiff mix. But I fostered him, and then one of my friends actually adopted him, which was super cool. But the one I run with, Duke, he's like a Cane Corso, Italian Mastiff mix. They're all rescue dogs, but like a 95-pound Mastiff-y, kind of almost like a German Shepherd kind of mix. And so he's not like a high energy dog, but he has effectively like infinite endurance, at least compared to me. So, he's good to run. I very rarely run more than 5 miles at a time, but he's totally good for that. And it's kind of like the dual, like I don't really like to run, but I should run for my health. And he enjoys running, so it's like, man, like it's a nice day out. He would enjoy going for a run. It'd be good for me. So it's kind of a buddy system.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have a lab. We're not quite sure his age because, rescued, but he's probably like 9 or so.
Yeah.
And he used to run with my wife and I. And then one day we were mid-run, just stopped. He just stopped and was like, I'm done. And then we haven't been able to get him to run ever since. So
yeah. The one I run with, he's only like 4 years old. So I got a puppy from the animal shelter, like at 8 weeks old. But also for days that I don't feel like running, or I'm sure it's like, like right now, like it's dark at 5:30. The days are getting longer because it's January, but like, those November, December months, it's by the time you get home from work, it's dark. And so that's why I got the dog treadmill a year or so ago. And there you go. See?
There they are.
Being dogs.
That's all right.
And but they like run on the dog treadmill while I work out and whatnot. That way I can kind of like double dip. And also I just don't also like running in the rain. So I'm kind of a baby about that. So I'd rather get on like the spin bike or the echo bike versus running in the rain. So somebody can go on there, and they're not like running on the treadmill. They're just like basically incline walking for an hour, that kind of thing. So kind of gets them. Obviously a dog would prefer to be outside, but life happens as well at the same time. So
yeah, cool. Well, any other projects in the home gym?
The things with Rogue is like, yes, but I can't speak to it.
Oh, cool. That's awesome, though.
Nothing as crazy, giant, and as expensive as the FT-1, but that's one of those things where, it takes them to, buy off on stuff and, make it go out. So, yeah, who knows when – it seems like I don't know what the timeline is for a lot of stuff, but cool. We have discussed several other things.
Nice. Very cool. Well, we'll be looking forward to seeing what you got. Anything else you want to chat about before we close this?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. And I really just, I don't want people to get like overwhelmed and think that like, I'm very humbled with the gym that I have. And, it's not an overnight thing. And, I don't like go out a lot. I don't eat out much and stuff like that. So like, I'm not some loaded dude with money over here. I mean, I make a good income and whatnot, but like a lot of it's been saving up over the years and whatnot. And so I also don't want people to like not build a home gym because they don't have Rogue money or Sornex money and they just want to buy a Titan rack. And I am by no means offended by anybody that doesn't buy like USA made stuff. I'd rather you buy what you can afford and start working out as soon as possible and taking charge of your own health. And so, yeah, it's like when people see like gyms like mine or like Brandon's or whoever, it's just like that. Those are few and far between. And, there's many other ways that you can, spend money wisely and still get the same level of workout in your home gym, right? Because most of any of this stuff is overbuilt for every single human that's ever existed, right? So somebody just has a bit more bling to it, if you will. But yeah, don't let that like stop you from getting started. And, if you find yourself wanting to down the road, you can always upgrade. And, the used market's always there. Maybe it's not as crazy as it was in like 2020 or 2021, but yeah, definitely get started. And I think, most people, you can get a plan to get going and, follow an app or something like that. That's one of the other great things with having a home gym these days is just technology, and you can pay $20 or $40 a month for some programming. And yeah, it's not like tailored just to you, but, you can get something that tells you what to do, and it's still cheaper than an in-person personal trainer plus a gym membership. So
yeah,
but yeah, don't hesitate to get started. I think most people will find themselves liking what they do. And yeah, I've had a great time out here. I've had a great time with the Instagram page and just getting to meet people because I'm basically doing what I would be doing without the Instagram page. And now I've connected with a giant community of like-minded people. And, you know, I try to answer pretty much every DM that I ever get, just to help people out. And it's not to like share links of buy equipment and I get a kickback. It's literally just helping people out. And so I think that's super cool that there's so many other people that are out there that are valuing the home gym community and what that means for their life and, you know, in their future and their health and well-being. So it's super cool.
Awesome. That's great. And yeah, I would also just double up on like almost every amazing home gym that like I've shared on Instagram. The typical response is, yeah, I've been building it out for 10 years.
Right.
And it's really just like the number one thing that they spend their money on. It's like, you know, a lot of people have the ability to, you have a little bit of money for yourself. You have the ability to like, you know, you could make a sweet man cave in the basement, a bar, this or that, or you could get a Lexus, a really nice car, or a second Corvette, you know, or like those, like get like, you know, there's people that collect cars and collect, or they build a car and that ends up being like $30,000, or
Right.
they, you know, there's just plenty of hobbies out there. And people that see a home gym, they're just like, oh, that guy's just loaded. And it's like, no, they've saved money on memberships. They've saved money on gas. They have prioritized it. That's typically why you see the gyms the way you do. It's not like you mentioned, just because.
Yeah, it's a lot of times that people aren't 5 hobbies. You know, they're just dabbling into the home gym hobby and not, you know, also building a car and also trying to go on a vacation every quarter and like going out 2 nights a week. And so it's a mixture of everything. And that's what makes the world go around, different strokes for different folks kind of thing. But yeah, like, you know, most of these people are all just like myself. We're just regular dudes that just share what we're already doing. You know, maybe I just do more home gym stuff than I do other things, you know?
Yeah. I'm with you, man. All right. Well, thanks again. We'll throw all your, follow Nick on Instagram at Home Gym Hangout. We'll make sure that link is in the description of the podcast and video. But yeah, thanks again for taking the time.
Yeah, man, Jake, always happy to be here. Thanks so much, man.
You got it.